This is the wall of the shed where the doors will be, and just to show you the prep work that I've done on it. Now, you might say that 1600mm to 800mm doors is big for a shed that's only 3 meters wide, and you might be right, but I don't want to struggle getting things in and out of the shed. So what I'm proposing to do is to use one door as the main functional door, and then the other one as a sort of a door that I will open if I need to get larger things in and out. I just don't want to struggle with it. And what I've done here is I've really strengthened the corners. I've concentrated a lot on the corners. So there's 3 pieces of galvanized on these corners where the doors are. There's 2 here, and there'll be another one here which will kind of face it off so that you don't get this when you're opening the door. It'll be nicely finished off. And then the header is 200mm, and I have reinforced it with uprights and diagonals. You have to do that, otherwise the header just won't be strong enough. You're going to have vibration too from the door and wind, and just generally doors tend to be aggressive towards walls, so you have to sort of compensate for it. So I've done this side of it, and it's kind of a thing that I'll do it. I'll take it all apart and then bring it over and assemble it when I'm over there. It'll come apart and go back together again nicely. All the work will be done on it basically, and then just moving one component to one place to another and then assembling it. Will you get that closer?
Yeah.
That's a wind anchor.
What is it, John?
It's a wind anchor. And I've dug a hole so that it can take a certain amount of concrete, and then I've buried it, the bar right down into the ground there. And I'll make sure that the concrete goes right down because I can stamp it down. And then these will hold inside of the cement as well from it lifting. And I've also angled the inside of the hole that it's not a round hole going down, so it should serve the purpose. It doesn't have to be massive, it just has to be enough to keep it a little bit rigid, because don't forget, we're not supposed to theoretically have this connected completely to the floor, and we don't.
Obviously, because we would never break the rules.
That's the whole 1 meter rod down there. More than happy with that. I didn't think I'd get it down that far, but hey, that's actually good. I'm happy.
Persistence pays off.
So the wind anchor is finished and will definitely hold. Here, because we have the floor elevated and looking like it's floating, we also have it open to allow ventilation to come through for the generator housing. But it's also an open invitation for small creatures to get in, and here I put in a mesh to prevent that. So it might not completely stop them, but I will put more in there when I have the floor in. But that mesh will hold them back. The concrete pad there for the generator housing is done, and that's the mat for it. So now we're ready to put the floor in. When I got here this morning, I went to move some of the pieces that was on top of this, and the largest lizard, or one of the largest lizards for sure, that I have ever seen on the island here came out from underneath it. Now, I know that they've been living here for a lot longer than we have and all that sort of thing, and I totally understand that and agree with it. But they've been living in other places for years when this shed wasn't here. So I would like very much to have this shed that Angela or anybody can go into it and not die of the fright with something looking up at them as much as to say, this is my shed. Now, it looked at me as much as to say, I'll fight you for it. But hey, we didn't. So the base frame is complete. I have extra chicken wire in there to keep the unwanted guests out. And the floor is down, so that section now is complete. Next thing is I have to get the walls up, and the walls are over there, so there's a little bit more site work on it, and then I'll pop them up. This piece of stock here that I had cut to 1.5 meters, when I slipped it in here, I had to move it over 3 millimeters to get it correct here. I have the floor square, so I'm going to work with the square of the floor on the frame. But it's so versatile, so light, and so easy to work with. You're able to do that.
you talking to yourself again? Are you?
The hard graft of the groundwork, the digging, the thought process, where does it start, where does it end, is all done. The concreting of the anchor, the wind anchor, and for the generator is done and finished. The base frame for the floor is in and is level and is completed. The floor is in, finished. The main frame, not quite finished. There's still just a bit of bracing that I have to do on the door section of it, diagonal bracing and cross bracing, just to make it a little bit stronger with the tension of the door. And I've done a bit of construction like this in the past, and this has always been my favorite part of it. I'm a tech kind of a guy, so to me, I just like the way that you can see the structure that's involved in a building like this. I know it's small, but it's the same theory on a smaller scale as it is on a bigger scale. Just things expand and things get bigger. And just as we're talking about bigger projects, construction sometimes can be quite cruel. Especially when you're doing a job and it involves a lot of renovation, where you're breaking everything apart, everything is just all over the place, there's dust everywhere, and it just seems like as if, where is it going to start, where is it going to end? Or you may ask the question, what the hell have I done? Or what have I bought? It feels like as if you're going through hell. And as a very famous man once said, if you find yourself going through hell, keep going, because you get out of it. This stage now, being my favourite part of this project, I'm looking forward to finishing it. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is the timber cladding on the side and the face here and the doors. And you know, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you guys that have travelled with us on this series of doing the shed. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you have, maybe please consider a like and a subscribe. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one.